All right, guys, we are live. Welcome, 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 everybody. All right, we already got Cindy Lou. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Cindy Lou. Um, Welcome to another chat with I'm just inviting all my friends and family, come and talk about QHHT. And tonight we have Violeta Stoica. Hello, Violeta.
Hi.
And Martin Rivera. Hello, Martin. Martin's back,
Hello.
a returning champion. So, as people are coming in, I have a way, way, way cool um, thing that YouTube's doing. And so I want you guys to be able to take advantage of it. So on my YouTube channel, I'm doing a membership kind of a thing. It's the Dolores Cannon Fan Club. And so we do all things Dolores Cannon. And every month we do a live group regression from an authentic Dolores Cannon script. So we pull Dolores out of the closet, channel her, and do a group regression, all kinds of different things. Like last month, we were looking at the future of 2024 for everybody that was on the live feed. So that's our membership. Now, what YouTube is doing is that they are giving away memberships. But you have to do something. You have to go to your chat feature right now and you have to click, what does it say? It says allow or opt in. It says opt in. So in the chat where you see, it'll say opt in, it's a little green looking kind of icon. You want to opt in. And then what happens is I'm going to gift twice tonight 5 different memberships for free. Okay, so you get a free month of membership. YouTube does this, and it's so cool. And so, but YouTube chooses the algorithm chooses who gets these free memberships based on
Mm,
your interaction in the live. So the more you're chatting, the more you're sending us icons and loves and high fives and whatever with what we're talking about, then the more probable it is that YouTube's going to give you that free membership. So go to the chat that you see on YouTube right now, especially if you're on the desktop. It's a little weirder if you're on your mobile phone, but if you're on your desktop, go to the chat and click opt in. And then that tells YouTube that you're willing to get this gift. And then twice tonight, I'm going to push a button, and 5 memberships are going to go out, and then 5 memberships are going to go out later. And you'll have a free membership for a month.
right.
And so then in February 21st, is our next. Then you can come into that live because you'll be a member and have that authentic Dolores Cannon experience with one of her scripts. So yay. So for Martin and Violeta, we have so far Cindy Lou, Donna, Stephanie, Laura, Lisa, Julianne. So lots and lots. Taylor is on too. So lots of people coming in. So opt in, push opt in. Okay. All right. So Martin, tell us a little about yourself. You've been with me in one of these before, and here you are again, a returning champion. So tell us about yourself.
All right. Thank you for first of all, thank you for the invitation, and I'm so excited. I live in Long Island, New York. I've been doing QHHT for almost 8 years so far, and it was such a great joy and ride that the way I discovered this Dolores Cannon. It was through a real conference in YouTube back in 2010. And when I heard that conference, it just blew my mind, and I really resonate with the whole book about it, and it felt like he was talking to me personally because I really, really resonate with that information. And that's how and back then I was kind of like researching because I wanted to do hypnosis, but I wasn't sure which technique. And it was like the right time and right moment when I met Dolores and was like, wow, when I started, reading all her books and all that. And that's how I get into this field. And so far, it's been such a ride, really happy about it, and helping other people to discover their own truths and all these revelations and most of all the healing. So I'm very, glad and grateful, and even met you guys, even met you, Holly, and even start doing some of the translations for Dolores Cannon books, because when I remember when I went there in Arkansas, the academy, I was surprised that they didn't have many books. Yes, many books. Yeah, like yours. Many books translated into the Spanish community in the whole Latin America. So I was like, when I met Nancy, I was like, where are all these translated books? And she was like, oh, we only got a few. So I was like, there's a whole lot of market down there. So that'll be great if people got the information from Dolores and all this. And she was like, yeah, that'll be great. She just replied me like, we're thinking about that, and we're gonna have something, later on. And sure enough, 2 years later, she contacted me like, are you willing to translate some of the books? I was, why not? And that's somehow I was able to help you too as well, to Holly, to translate her first amazing book. So yeah, so that's pretty much and briefly my journey, and then I've been doing this in Long Island, New York. So yay. Thank you for asking that.
Yay. Welcome back. We do have the best job on the face of the earth, don't we? We have the front row seat to the universe. Yeah.
Yes, cool. No doubt.
Violeta, tell us about you.
I started this journey back in 2010, so it's been almost 14 years.
I was the same.
I have been a level 3 practitioner for the past 3 years. I am located in Prescott, Arizona for the past year and a half. I used to live in California. I lived in Pennsylvania and Romania, of course. And all these years I practiced in these places, my QHHT career. This is a detail that I wanted to say because it's important later on.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. So the roaming QHHT level 3. The multi-purpose person, the multi-location person. I'm so excited to get to hear. I understand you have quite a bit of extraterrestrial experience here, a lot of stories to tell. So thank you for joining us tonight. That's so cool. All right. So those coming in, opt in. And I'm seeing, so Meredith, I see, and Cindy saying, I don't have a green phone. I don't have a green button on my phone, but I don't know about phones. I only know about so maybe Google it and see what it looks like on the mobile app. You might have to be on your phone, but through your browser and not the mobile app to do the opt-in. But you definitely want to do the opt-in. So for those coming in, Lavinia is in here. She's your Romanian friend, she says, Violeta. And so for those coming in right now, you want in the chat feature, you want to click opt in, because twice tonight, I'm going to click a button and then YouTube gives a 1-month membership to my YouTube channel, which means that you get to participate in our Dolores Cannon fan club, all the things. There's giveaways and coupons and fun quotes by Dolores. But most importantly, on February 21st, we're doing every month, we do a Dolores Cannon group regression script. And so February 21st at 7 p.m. Mountain, we'll be doing our next live group regression. And so those are a lot of fun. So opt in. Okay. So be sure you do that. All right. So thanks for those introductions, guys. Just a little bit about me. So I'm in Durango, Colorado, if you don't know me. And I've been a level 3 now since 2017, however many years that is. Don't make me do math. And in here in Durango, been practicing QHHT for 11 years, going on 11 years now. And was able, I think you probably were too, Violeta, to do my level 1 and level 2 with Dolores while she was still living. And so that was cool. That was way cool to be with her and see her and learn from her. She was a tough cookie though, huh? She was not she was not necessarily the she was a demanding teacher, let's put it that way. she 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 didn't let you off the hook. So yeah. So that's just a little bit about me. All right. So let's get into this. So tonight's topic, extraterrestrials and multidimensionals. Pretty much the rest of the known universe besides us 3D humans. That's what we're going to talk about. So one of the things that I think is fun is Dolores's reporting on this kind of stuff with her books. So Custodians, of course, is probably the best known. Keepers of the Garden is another one focused on the extraterrestrial experience. And even Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth is mostly about other people coming in from other places to help Earth. What do you guys think about what Dolores reported about extraterrestrials and multidimensionals?
Well, they have the other book too, Legacy of the Stars.
Legacy. Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Great,
that
great
one.
book too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Legend of the Star Crash. That's
Yeah.
another, you know, a great telling story about, you know, all these, we call it, you know, quote unquote past lives, because we know they're not really past lives. They all they are occurring simultaneously, and they're living into another reality at the same time that we currently living right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes us to, you know, to another level, to understand the level of consciousness that we barely grasp to understand. But every session that, you know, the client comes out and, you know, first for some it will be confusing, but then it makes sense when they start listening to the recording and hear everything that's related to them, because that's their own journey, that's their own truth. And that's really more than mind-blowing, very healing, because they try, you know, now after that they understand why they feel these experiences they had all their lives. So that's amazing, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'm glad you reminded me of Legend of the Star Crash, because the other cool thing about that book was the intersection of extraterrestrials and Native Americans, and how, you know, kind of validating these experiences with legends that Native Americans have had for, you know, eons, I'm sure. Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. So even the Ancient Aliens show is been, you know, digging a lot of stuff from there, you know, because they've been getting all these myths and stories that have been circulating for centuries, and you know, and most of the time people think they were only tales, but somehow they have a truth behind it. So that book, even the Legacy of the Star, I mean the Legacy from the Stars, it talks about the same topic, how all these different extraterrestrials, they had interact with different civilizations around the world. So that's another eye-opener, you know, for many of us, so for many people.
Yeah. Violeta, what was your favorite book by Dolores? What are your favorite stories of hers about extraterrestrials?
First of all, I am so thrilled to be in this show today, because this is such a complex topic. We would need like 10 sessions at least to, you know, get to talk about all that we want. But my favorite ET book of Dolores is The Legend of Star Crash, my all favorite. And then The Convoluted Universe, all 5 volumes. And I've been fascinated with extraterrestrials since I was a child. I actually was in a club in school on this topic. It was allowed in the communist country to talk about extraterrestrial.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
And I read so many books as a child. I was fascinated with it. And I think it's so complex. And why I said that I practice QHHT in so many places in 2 countries is because the information sometimes confirms itself from people from different countries, and it's mind-blowing.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and these are people that never met, never talked to each other. You know, like 10, 14 years ago when I had those sessions, there was no YouTube. There was not that much information or access to information like today. So this confirms, and it's my favorite subject, my favorite type of session, I will confess.
Mhm.
It's fascinating.
That's cool. That's
And
way cool.
Dolores was so thorough and so good at extracting details from her clients that it blew my mind. Didn't she say what we learn in our sessions is bending our minds like a pretzel?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is how our sessions are.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, though. Think about that, Violeta. So here you were in Romania in the during communism, and you had in elementary school, you had an ET club. For Dolores, she was persecuted here, right? You know, when she first started all of her first work, the Jesus books, the Nostradamus books, which came before her ET work, you know, she was thrown out of her church. She had people in her hometown that would shun her, that wouldn't talk to her. And then when all of the ET stuff came out, you know, she met Phil of the Custodian's books, and then went into all of that work and started speaking at all of the big, you know, ET conferences and that kind of thing. She was really putting herself out there. I mean, it was not readily accepted what she was coming out, even by other people in the ET community. What she was finding through hypnosis, she would get arguments from people in the ET community that she didn't know what she was talking about. So
right, yeah.
she was so brave. She was so incredibly brave. Just amazing.
Strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could feel her energy in class twice, and she was magnificent. We were overwhelmed by her energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And for those that don't know it, just a little, you know, Dolores Cannon fan factoid. She had so much information in her hypnosis, but she could not get a publisher to publish it, right? This was in the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s. That's why she created Ozark Mountain Publishing, because for her to get the word out, she had to create her own freaking publishing company. Like, just the hurdles that she went through. And then for us now, like, did you hear the thing about the people in Miami, the ETs in Miami at the mall, supposedly? And then, of course, all the congressional hearings, like there's like Navy pilots like testifying to Congress about all of the unidentified, you know, flying things that they're seeing, and all of this is coming out. It's just like, take yourself back for just a split second to what the mountain Dolores was climbing, and then where we are now. It's like, wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. I'm so happy. You know, she's on the other side going, yes, yes.
It wrote for us to be able to speak about this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Way cool. All right. So, have either of you ever had actual ET experiences? Seen something in the sky? Had a dream? What are your personal ET experiences?
Ladies first.
Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a physical encounter, but I had dreams with like tens of ships covering the sky. And unfortunately, back then, I was afraid of what I was seeing, so I woke up. But then I had an encounter in in a sound healing meditation in a group. and I saw myself in an aspect of a female being that travels alone with a sphere ship, and I observe. And this is what I do. I have a device around my head where my eyes are, so I can have 360 degrees vision because I'm alone. And then in a QHHT session of my own, I saw myself being again a female on a ship. The ship was close to the earth. It was before humans or were on earth. And some of my energy left the ship, and I incarnated in kind of like a big bird in Hawaii on a main island.
Wow.
And my body was in stasis in the ship, and an aspect of me went down on earth. So I was existing in 2 dimensions simultaneously, a bird and my body on the ship, but in stasis. And yeah, these are my experiences, and they were mind-blowing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in my meditation or in my session. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That comes with it, like, oh, this is how we can exist in multiple dimensions
Right.
at once. And then it helps you to understand that there is no time and everything happens at once, and how we can split the reality in many parallel realities. And that made much more sense knowing what Dolores explained about it as well. So
yeah. That's why I don't think you can talk about, like you said, Violeta, it's such a complex subject. We could have 10 days talking about this. But I don't think you can talk about extraterrestrials without talking about multidimensionality. They're inextricably linked, like just like your experience with the bird.
My ship wasn't visible. The
Mm-hmm.
ship on wasn't visible to the earth animals, so to say, because there were no humans in Hawaii. But the ship was physical. I was on a bed laying down, and then I came down in an energy form, and I became that huge bird, kind of like an ostrich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was the ostrich aware of the person on the bed?
No.
Yeah.
No, the ostrich wasn't. The person on the bed was aware of the ostrich. And I wanted to tell you something else. In my meditation with the sound healing, when I saw myself the first time as an alien, which I'm a humanoid, no hair, covered in a white silvery costume that covers my entire body, I had no emotions, but I had intelligence and a curiosity, and I was meant to observe and travel throughout the universe.
Way cool.
And it was like, so like you get into the personality of the character. I had the personality of the bird. I had the personality of the woman traveling. And it's so cool because you get immersed in their energy, in their time travel. And like, it's beyond cool. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a freaky story for you. Can I tell you my story? So I did Suzanne Spooner. So plug for Suzanne Spooner's training class on TAUK, TAUK, the art of universal knowing. And so what she does is she teaches you, whoops, dropping stuff. She teaches you how to use a pendulum. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. She teaches you how to use a pendulum correctly and safely. Important caveats. And so when I started using one of my pendulums, I started communicating with this person called Pladar, Pladar. And it's his little joke. He doesn't actually have an English name, right? But they don't, right? They don't need names where they are. But I always do this eye roll because people say, "Oh, I'm Pleiadian. Oh, I'm Arcturian." And it's like, do you know how many star systems there are out there? There's a lot more than 2. And so, clients come in and they go, "I want to know if I'm Pleiadian or Arcturian or Lyran or whatever." And it's like, yeah, there's a few trillion star systems out there, not 2 or 3 or 4. And most of them humans don't have names for, and they'll say that, right? They'll tell the client in sessions, well, humans don't have a name for the star system where, you know, where this person's from. So Pladar, he calls himself Pladar because it's Pleiadian and Arcturian smushed together. And it's his little joke to me about how he isn't either, right? Ha ha ha. Anyway, Pladar is on this giant mothership. It's kind of shaped like two plates put together, but like vertically. And it's massive. I mean, it's like 30 stories tall. I mean, it's massive. And so I communicate with him using my my pendulum, and we have so much fun together. We have just, it's hilarious with the communication that comes through. And he this sounds so crazy, but it's like it worked. It happened. It's real. We started day trading stocks, and Pladar would give me the tickers in the morning. He would give me a stock ticker. So we had this arrangement of how much money and for how much of a gain. And I'd chat with him with my pendulum in the morning, do my meditations and chat with Pladar. He'd give me a stock ticker that morning. I'd go buy it. I'd, do my Charles Schwab thing to sell it when it hit a certain price that we had agreed on. My phone went into airplane mode. I'd have my QHHT session. I'd turn my phone off of airplane mode, and that afternoon the stock would have sold at the price that Pladar told me it was going to sell at.
Wow. That's my goal.
Stock trading with an ET.
Wow.
Like, is that not crazy? Yeah.
Indeed.
And I'm like, you have to believe it because I never lost. I never lost, right? So anyway, I haven't had time to do it lately, but I'll get back to it. Pladar and I still talk every day, but we're talking about different things right now. But yeah, isn't that crazy?
Say where he's stationed? Did he say where he's stationed?
Oh, he's above the Earth. The mothership's above the Earth. Yeah. Obviously, we can't see it, but I mean, there's
how many there?
Thousands. Yeah, thousands of people on the people. I use that term loosely. That are on that ship. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
So number one, take Suzanne's talk course. Number two, start talking to ETs. Number three, get a Charles Schwab account and start day trading with your ET.
That's awesome.
It's off the hook. All right, we have some people weighing in on their experiences. So let me tell you guys about some of this. So Lavinia says that she saw a spaceship with her mom while driving in Bucharest. And she was in traffic, and it was above her and her mom saw it also. And it was a ship exactly as you see in all of the pictures. So that's cool. And so then, let's see, who else wants to die? Lavinia also met a person who used to be an actress, and after she encountered Aris, I guess, Aris, her brother from Atlantis, I'm guessing, she wrote a couple of books, and when we met her, he came to the room and switched the lights. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Cindy says she's done Suzanne's class also. She contacts an entity called Aver. So that's so cool. And then, Lavinia says her name was Doina Sandru. And the first name of her book and the messages she got from Eris is I'm going to mess this up, Lavinia. Euro-Attical. So yeah. They're fun. They're fun names. There aren't real names, guys. So they don't. Yeah. We need the names. They don't need the names. We need the names. Yeah. And Cindy Lou says they're right in the room with us now. You bet. You bet they're listening. I'm sure Pladar's like.
Amazing.
All right. What kind of planets have you or your clients experienced? So let's talk about the planets or the stars themselves, the systems, not the people, but the systems. What kind of planets have your clients witnessed?
Well, I have so far twice marine world. You know, it's really a planets that were totally covered in water and
Mm-hmm.
live underwater. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and at these already, like I said, twice, and I had all these other beings that was one was very puzzling because she wasn't able to describe herself as a like a body. It was like only a formless shape
Uh-huh.
that could manifest anyhow, but she was able to take care of the environment. But it was like shape form, really, like something like not with form, and big, but with consciousness that she was aware of, connected with the consciousness of the planet.
Wow.
And somehow, I remember in the session, she started like kind of like a singing, Of course, it wasn't like an alien language. And I was like, okay, can you translate it for me, please? She started singing these words, but she was referring to plural, like there were others like her, that's like a group, and they all like chanting the same song, like so happily. I was like,
Wow.
whoa, what mind blowing. But what there was these words like very similar to Earth, really. That one, and I had other ones that are very similar to the green planet. They have water. They had like kind of like a water. They said like more dense than water, but it was a liquid,
Mhm.
And and what's the other one? And yeah, those are very similar to that I had so far, So, but yeah, there's all types of environments on these planets too. Even there was one with crystals. Yes, that was like on the ground, really. Now that I remember, it's all crystals, and the being who lives there, it looks like a child. It was a very small being, kind of bluish, and of course, she was describing how she was like profiling every single item that we as humans use, and she was
Wow.
like, like moving, like put them in the storage and put a profile on it. But everything was doing with her mind,
Oh, wow. Wow.
and
Uh-huh.
yeah, and it
Uh-huh.
had this like, kind of like a catalog, like she was like, putting everything and available for others. So that was, very cool too. And I had this other one that it was a desert planet as well. But these beings, they levitate, they don't walk,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that was very cool because at the time I was like, this client was like a historian. I mean, she was recently graduated from history, like studying history, and this ET was doing exactly the same but through the universe. And after that, when I asked it about the report, because she was like gathering information in another planet, it wasn't her planet, and this planet was totally like lifeless, but there were like pyramids in there, just like the Egyptian pyramids. There were pyramids and some like buildings, like it was like a modern city. When I asked her like, what are you doing this? And then she was like, oh, I'm recollecting all this information. But she was able to tap into the history of the planet right away. And she told me like this civilization was like very similar to humans, and they all extinct because they were able to distribute all these resources because they became very selfish. And I was like, is that what is happening to us? It was like, in some aspect, yes. But
Wow.
when I asked him, like, what are you gonna do with the information? He was like, oh, I'm gonna just bring it to my planet, to my own council. I was like, okay, can we go there? And he goes like, yeah. So I was able to speak with these 9 members of this council, just like very similar to your experience, Holly, with the council of 12.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
of course,
yeah.
there was
With Laura. Laura's on. Laura DiPiazza's on. Yeah.
right. So I
Hi,
was able
Laura.
to, yeah, to speak to this council, and they had these 3 fingers. They only had 3 fingers, and then by the time I was speaking to them, the client, after when she woke up, she was like, oh, they got excited because they're very serious. They don't have humor, you know. But when they heard you like saying, oh, can I speak with them? I want some information. They all were like standing up, and then they tell me the sign like this. But yeah, so I guess, those
Yeah.
are very interesting, environments that they live in, so, but they could be very different from us, but, life thrives in everywhere,
Yeah.
really.
All different kinds. Yeah. Yeah. I like you mentioned the one where the water, but it was thicker than our water.
Right.
I had an experience with a client once. The people were like that. The people were this globby, jello-y, kind of like water, but thicker than water. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They can be so
Yeah.
strange. Yeah.
Yeah. Violeta, what kind of planets have your clients been on?
Well, if I look, I had a lot of sessions with ETs.
Mhm.
I think the majority of the planets my client went were arid planets,
Mm.
where they
Mhm.
lived either inside the planet, with tunnels, or I had domes. They lived on the surface of the planets and they were covered in a dome, and they had this all man-made civilization. I had are we talking about the beings also?
No, just the planets for now, and then we'll get to the beings. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So all the time I'm trying to get their names. I had people from Sirius, Orion, Lyra, Arcturus, Pleiades, but I had crazy names. Recently, somebody was speaking about the planet that Stefano de Matias is from, Gludoc, if I pronounce it correctly. I don't know what planet he's from. And all kinds of names that I don't remember. They say sometimes you don't have the sounds.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't have a name. It sounds different.
Yeah.
You cannot perceive the sound or the vibration of the sound.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Most of the time I don't get a name, and I'm not crazy about that. I'm about the experience of the client, to feel the environment, to feel their personality. But yeah, I got all kinds. I've got water, lush green. I have worked with people that went on planets with no sun, or 2 suns, or 3 suns, purple skies, purple sun. The lake came out blue sun. It's a blue sun.
Wow.
They change the color of the sun. They make it either golden or blue.
Wow.
The people on the planet can change the color of the
With
star. Oh, wow.
with their
Cool.
energy, will change the color of the light that comes from the sun. Many celestial bodies in the sky, 3 moons, 5 moons, 8 moons. Recently, I had a client that had a 5-star system in their heart, and as they came out of the a life on Earth, it had the vibration to go into that system, which I didn't get a name for. 5-star planets.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I find most people that find themselves on another planet, I'll say, do humans have a name for that planet? And most of the time the answer is no. Humans have never seen, we don't even see that star system. Even with our giant space telescopes, it's too far away. We don't have, not only do we not have a name for the planet, we don't have a name for the star system because it's so far.
Is it in our galaxy? Is it in
Yeah.
our universe? Is it in our dimension? Nope.
Yep.
Sometimes not that far, but they're not in our dimension.
Right.
So doesn't it make you, it's just humility, right? It's like, oh, we're so tiny in the universe. So tiny.
But somehow connected to all of it. So
Yeah,
that's the amazing part.
Yeah, this multidimensional being is laying on the bed in my office.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. As far as
Violeta,
even so,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
sorry to jump in. Sometimes, even sometimes they explain, this galaxy is parallel to our galaxy, or this galaxy is so far away that humans, they even haven't discovered, but we all connected. That's the multi-dimension. That's how we are. So that's something that we always hear about. We're oneness. People always say, we're oneness, but they sometimes realize the really enormous word to say, the whole universe is really connected. Well, that's when people, they discover all these realities that are moving and existing at the same time. And so far.
Yeah. Violeta, you mentioned the places with the domes. I've had that multiple times too. It's almost like the planet isn't really inhabitable, but the people have built these like they're not really glass, but they're transparent, but they're like energy bubbles that are giant, like the size of a city, these giant energy bubbles, and then all of their life is spent inside of these bubbles. And if they go outside of the bubble, they have to put on spacesuits and whatnot to get outside of the bubble. So
Right.
fascinating. And Martin, you mentioned the underground planets, the hollow planets, where people are living inside the planet and they just don't go out to the surface of the planet. Yeah. And then what about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
As you mentioned, the domes, I had a past life that I was, well, not a past life, but another reality that I was really, just like Violeta, I was part of this large crew of different beings. I remember seeing this, I was in the ship too as well, moving my hands. I remember this white suit, with like a stripe, like a dark stripe here, and a symbol that I wasn't able to recognize it, but it was very similar to a triangle somehow.
Star Trek, baby.
Kind of like that, But I was like moving my hand to this like holographic screen with different symbols, like icons moving it. And then I saw a planet, and immediately we were like, there was water, a large water, and this forest. But then the forest was these domes. I saw many of them. But then, right after an instant, I was inside those domes, and I started seeing around, and I see all these different beings of different, appearances, physical, and even they had different colors, uniforms, and somehow one of them was speaking. And this dome was like kind of like a concentric, circles going down like an amphitheater, And I remember I was able to hear what they were saying, but it was telepathic,
Wow.
And somehow during the session, I was the one who was speaking, but not with my mouth. And everyone was like, looking at me,
Wow.
But I wasn't able to recognize the language. But I know how we were making a plan.
So I want to bring in multidimensionality. So have you ever had anybody go inside a star? So I've had a few clients go inside stars. Well, I've had a few clients that were stars, like the stars are sentient beings, right? Just like the planets are. But ET travelers going into stars, different stars all over the universe, different times. I've had different clients have the same experience. And the stars are portals. They're like intersections. They're like interdimensional intersections. You go inside the star, and then there's I don't know if you want to call it a wormhole or whatever, that goes somewhere else. And so you go inside the star to warp speed yourself to somewhere else in the universe through these portals. So stars are like giant intersections of portals. That's cool.
As a matter of fact, I had one session just like that too, Holly. As a matter of fact, for the last 20 years, since there is like many either satellites or telescope always observing the solar activity. Every year, at least 10 photos, they're always being released where they see all these different, crafts going right into the sun or very nearby. They see cubes, they see like spheres, all different shapes of aircrafts going to the sun.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? That we really people are out there photographing or videotaping from these broadcasts, even from NASA or from other, space agency or some other, amateur astronomer too. So reported it like for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've had clients, well, they're on a spaceship, they're on a mothership outside of Earth. Well, how did your spaceship get here? Oh, we portaled here through the sun. Okay. Wow. That's cool.
So easy.
All right, we've got some comments. Let me catch up on the comments here. So Lavinia says, Violeta, maybe you want to also talk about the lost civilization of Cucuteni, which was in Romania but disappeared. So I don't, maybe we can hear about that. And Cindy Lou says she spent 8 months on the Lakota reservation, and the elders spoke of allowing star energy to flow through you for healing. And she asked, what is star energy? And they responded, our ancestors in the stars, the ETs, right? So we can flow their energy. And Laura says the Council of 12 has at least 5 universes that they work with, not 5 galaxies, 5 universes. And I think now they say with the Webb telescope, the latest, greatest, fancy pants orbital telescope, that there's so many trillion, I can't remember, it's in the hundreds of trillions of galaxies that they've identified.
Right.
And so now imagine 5 universes.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
Plus the multidimensionality.
Plus the yeah.
Right. Yeah. Layers and layers and layers of dimensions.
Yes.
Are we making you feel tiny tonight? Little ants scurrying around here. Let's see. Lavinia says they did experiments how those civilizations disappeared, burning their houses and so on, but they couldn't find an answer. And then she says, I dreamed about the bubble, and she wrote it down, and I was in the ship and traveling in space, Lavinia says. Mm-hmm. Yay. She says, Lavinia says, I'm so grateful I'm not the only crazy one here. I know you guys have this experience. You have clients walk in for their session, and they'll like be a little hesitant, and they're like, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to blow your mind, but I'll tell you what and then you're just like, okay, well, that's like completely normal for this office. That's another day at the office. Anyway. And so Laura says, yeah, same, Lavinia, and that she knows that our son is a portal. All right. So cool. Way cool. Okay. So Violeta, let's talk about the people, the different kinds of people. What have you seen? What have your people have experienced?
My God. Once after I came from England from my level 1 class, thank God I was reading Convoluted Universe Star People at the same time. Mm. So my client is above the ancient Rome, in the sky floating, trying to warn the people in ancient Rome they're going to be attacked by a tribe. And nobody listened. But I convinced my client, the character in the past life, to go home. And his home is a star, which was not hot, got into the star, lived in a cluster of crystals. They were the ones who created the solar system.
Wow.
I was almost like I fell off my chair almost, because I wasn't ready for that type of being in my session.
Wow.
We were the ones who created the solar system with all of stern, very serious voice. And I was like, what? In my mind. I ran many, many times in bird-like people. I don't know how many sessions. I even have one recording of a star language of bird-like people from I don't know what planet that doesn't sound, it sounds like a mix of Japanese and Russian. It's like so weird. I've got people, bird-like people, but white, that transmute the light that comes from the central sun, enters their bodies through the crown chakra, and they get it out through their chest in different shapes, and they send it to different other planets for those populations and civilizations to feed them or to help them grow and evolve or support them energetically. So the main being that I work with, I don't know why, they're birds. I've got bluebirds, indigo birds, long beaks, most of them. They're very, very intelligent, very spiritually evolved. I've got mermaids, I've got ants, I've got insects.
And when you say that, not earth insects, but like insectoid type people that live on.
That was the word, insectoid, because they're sometimes taller than humans. What else I got? I don't know. Very tall beings, cat people. I think cat from Sirius, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh,
I don't know. I don't,
I think so.
They're all
everywhere
over.
else. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're all over, really.
I've got a robot that fell in love with a woman, and they had a life together. And the conclusion in that session from the higher self says, love is love no matter the looks. And this comes from the robot side, like the
That's
human
so
weird.
cool. That's so cool.
So it's amazing to
Mhm.
work with these kind of sessions and these kind of clients. And some of them had no clue, and they were somnambulists. Like my
Right.
friend that lived in the sun, and they were
Mhm.
the creators of the solar system. He had no idea. He was not spiritual. He came for the session to see if he can move to another other country.
Wow.
Didn't remember anything. He was shaken when I told him what happened. Like, he couldn't believe it. It was out of his world.
That's crazy. That's so much fun. That's so much fun. It's interesting to me, all the bird people that you've met. And that kind of reminds me of course, Dolores's Keepers of the Garden, but the fact that everything we see here on Earth is some sort of DNA mishmash of bits and pieces of everywhere else. Like everybody kind of, a multitude of beings from other places got together and said, well, let's make this paradise, this beautiful planet called this vacation planet called Earth. That got a little messed up. But but creating all the creatures and stuff, all of, butterflies and birds and whales and dolphins and all of these other creatures that we have with us have little pieces of that DNA from all these other places.
I had a client who was in a lab creating beings. Creating beings and trying to find the perfect form. And he was playing with mermaids and tritons
That's
to
so cool.
see how they survive. But speaking of, I just want to give a shout out to Mother Earth for being so beautiful, because I work mostly with barren planets. So not a lot of civilization have the luxury of living in such a paradise.
Yeah.
Yes. Good thing that you pointed out, because the few sessions that I had from other beings, from arid planets or just water planets, they say there's a multicolor, all these different ecosystems and different beings too, and this zoo of variety that we have here on Earth. And yes, they impress. Sometimes they say, "Oh, I had it one time when a client was experiencing an ET life, and it was like, that was very curious, because the ET became aware of the session, and he was like, "Oh, who am I speaking to? Oh, is that you?" And she turned her head, to me, and he go, "Oh, it's you." And he goes like, "What do you want to know?"
Yeah,
Like very feisty.
I've had that happen before. Yeah,
Right?
where you're
Like,
just
what do you
talking to
want
the
know?
ET directly. Yeah.
And he goes like, "What do you want to know?" But then when I was pulling the information, and I was like, okay, she was like, "Oh, you want to know the difference between my civilization and yours?" But very fast. She was speaking like this, because she told me, "Oh, your questions are very slow and very superficial." I was like, "Okay, so I want to know, how is your political, economic, and religious system?" And that's how we started, And he goes like, "Oh, you guys, you guys are, and she was like realizing, because she was like, she told me, I can see through her and I can see through you." And I just look around, my space right here. He goes, "Oh, that's beautiful," because she was in a lab,
Oh, wow.
very sanitized lab, and all that. And she was like laying back, she was in a mission in another planet, really. And then at the time she was like, becoming conscious of the session. And the funny thing was like, besides that, it was like, how do you feed your bodies? And he goes like, "Oh, we have like this paste, like it tastes like, like cereal. I can't remember what was the cereal. And he goes, and I was like, "Is that it?" He was like, "Yeah, that's all we need for, to feed our bodies." I was like, "Oh, that's boring." And she realized that we have foods and all that, and colors. It was like, "Whoa, that would be interesting to live your experience as a human." And then she realized like, "Oh no, you guys live such a hard lives. You had to pay this, you have to buy. No, forget it.
Most of my clients, when they visit their planets, they only feed either from the light or from crystals. This is what I remember now.
Yep. Most of them don't eat. I ran into one ET species that they eat in ceremony. They have these little balls of something. I don't know what they were. They weren't other animals. They weren't meat. But they would make these little balls of food, but you couldn't feed yourself. Somebody else had to feed you. And so they would sit around in this circle feeding each other these little balls of food. They didn't have to eat it, but they made these little balls of food just for the ceremony of it.
Wow.
Yeah, but most places they don't have to eat.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and that Violeta, that you were mentioning about these bird-looking beings, that's one of my sessions that it was, very mind-blowing as well. Well, all of them are really mind-blowing, like all of you, but here's that really gets my attention, because it was my own sister. And my sister, she was a member active of the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. So she had no idea about this, and somehow in the session, like these 4 different beings, one was like a cardinal, red looking being, like totally red, and the other one was like amphibious. She started describing like a reptile, but then she goes, no, it's like more like an amphibious. She's a very good looking. And the other 2 were like kind of like human, just like us, kind of like Nordics, like that, as popular term. And the other one was like very like a Native American, or like people from India, like brown skin, very beautiful. Like her face like turning all the time from younger to older, like all the time, but then we started, these beings spoke through her, and they present themselves as the Earth Guardians that are related to the volunteers. As Dolores mentioned, they mentioned Dolores volunteers.
Wow.
So that was like, wow, very, very, mind-blowing. They were saying they were coming from different parts of the universe too. They weren't really from here. So, but that was, just to bring it up from, the red-looking being or bird-looking beings,
And let's not forget reptilians. I had quite a few sessions with reptilians. Like my clients were reptilians.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Many of us have been. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's not all fun and games for those guys, is it? It's not all love and light, is it?
I got my first session with a reptilian because I never encountered them before. And, I was taken aback, but they're different kinds of. So the ones I worked with, they're all benevolent. But I have something for later on to tell you.
I had just last week, Violeta, you mentioned you had a client live inside a star.
Yes.
Just last week, I had a client who was living on a star, on the surface of the star. And he was carrying we don't know, it wasn't a he or she there. They were carrying this handbag. And you've seen the pictures of all of that. The handbag, the mysterious handbag from the carvings in Egypt and Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean and all of these places with a handbag. He said it was exactly like that. And he was this light body person. He didn't have organs or anything like that. His body was light, but yet it had form. And he had to have that handbag to survive the surface of that sun. If he let his handbag go, and it was technology, it was a device. And if he let it go, he would just instantly vaporize. But whatever the technology was in that handbag allowed him to survive that level of energy. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that's what that picture's about, when we see all those carvings. Yeah. Let's catch up with we got lots of comments here. Hang on, let's catch up. Okay. So where are we? Here we go. So Michael says, it's good to know there are others that have the same experiences. And Laura says, the council hires ET species to build universes. Yeah, solar systems and planets. Yeah, so they're given jobs to go do this. Lavinia says, I wanted to have a session with Violeta when we were both in California, but I hesitated. And I'm more into having it. And I thought I have too much inside that I will scare the therapist. Trust me. I
Nah,
shouldn't say that. The minute I say I've seen it all, then the next client's like,
yeah, so
whoa, that's so cool. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Where are we? Okay, so Laura says, as practitioners, people are typically drawn to the one who has similar experiences. Not always, but usually. Your energy attracts similar experiences, which is also interesting, Violeta, with the bird people and then your simultaneous life as a bird, right? You've got a lot of bird energy going on there. Yeah. And Lavinia says, are we an experiment of someone? And what makes the difference? And how can we protect from the dark ones? So I don't know. Maybe you want to go there, Violeta. How do we answer that question for Lavinia? How do we protect from the dark ones?
Yeah, I was just saying
Are
that
there dark ones?
for later, but the messages that are coming in my last sessions and the end of last year is, I'm going to say it. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to say it. So this is a huge happening in the history. They're here, all of us, to support us, because these civilizations, they're all got fooled by reptilians. And the way that they infiltrated, they said, oh, we lost our home planet. Can we stay with you for a while? And then they start multiplying. And I don't know, because I didn't ask in how many years. At one point they took over. There were so many, and the initial civilization were the minority. So they lost. So that happened to so many planets, so many systems in the universe. They all united to help us. And they told me that it's been 30,000 years since they infiltrated here, and they're trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are hybrids because they you know, and they forgot why they're here, most of them. Telling them apart from us is by a pure heart. People that do harm intentionally are hybrids. Pure-hearted people that want to help are humans. And in another session, I got the word that you are more helpers than humans on the planet.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool.
Because we were allowed to interfere and come from the inside to help.
right.
And just a small parenthesis, I want to say most of us are coming from the star, even if you don't want to believe you're an ET at some point. That's my understanding. Anyways, so they're here to help us. They'll pick us up based on the vibration. You have to reach a certain level of vibration so they can work on you. They work on each individual light being on or helper or human on earth individually to raise our vibration. They will land at one point. In a few days, they'll pick us up based on vibration hybrids cannot access. They'll take us above for a few days while Mother Earth reforms itself with the helps of volcanoes and oceans to destroy most of the buildings and constructions man-made. And then these all ETs will come down with us in a few days and help rebuild everything with their technology. And they said, you're going to know so much, you won't believe it. And there's like a long era of peace. It's going to be amazing. Because it's
Violeta, I've gotten the exact same information that there's, like Pladar's mothership, there's all of these motherships. And when I say motherships, some of these motherships, like they explained to me, one of these motherships was the size of the state of Arizona.
Exactly. Like
massive. And so at some point in time, all of the people that are here to help Gaia, if you will be taken to a mothership, the appropriate mothership, healed, massaged vibrationally, whatever you need, and then you'll come back down. You'll be put back down. So, and I love this because it's like, it's so validating, right? That I don't know your clients, Violeta. You don't know my clients. These people don't know each other. They're saying the exact same thing, right? This is truth. This is truth.
Yeah. Well,
right now they're losing.
Yeah.
They don't have much time. They're losing their powers.
Yeah. I think it's important though, when we talk about, the range of poles from dark to light, right? Because it's actually a range and no one's all good. And well, very, very, very few people are all good and very, very, very few people are all bad. It's a range. Our souls who are outside of all of that form have chosen that dark experience for those dark people. They've chosen that darker experience for their soul growth. And just because that darker experience isn't going to exist with Gaia, it's still going to exist in the universe, just not here. The planet Earth has chosen, I'm done with that dark. I don't want it anymore. I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm good. But that doesn't mean that the dark isn't going to exist in the universe. And it doesn't mean that the dark shouldn't exist in the universe, because their souls still want those challenging experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of this duality, this universe and duality. And, as you guys mentioned about these new changes, I had a client where, source or higher self explained it to her, like she already, this is what's very, very interesting. It stated she already lived into the decadence. The word that applied was like the earth on decadence. She lived there, but she already lived on the new earth. So she already experienced both of them already. That's why she was like kind of like a volunteer, of coming into this time.
Yeah.
So the timeline gets into that new earth because she already experienced it. So that was like, wow, that's unbelievable that we somehow in another dimensions we are experiencing that darker times.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to the multidimensionality, time's just a dimension. You can move beyond that dimension of time, above it, or however you want to describe it, outside of. And so, yeah. And Dolores would say that, right? The new earth, it already exists. And yeah, it does. And so there's your client experiencing it.
Client told me, a reptilian told me, the planet Earth was always in 5D, but there is a net of a frequency field of 3D that was covering it.
Oh,
Always existed in 5D. I was like, wow. So you're talking about simultaneous time.
Yeah.
Reality.
Yeah. All right, let's get some comments here. So Carmen says, Martin, but explain to them that the guardians expressed themselves with their voice and not with mine. Greetings, beautiful woman.
Yep. That was very awesome.
Yeah.
Very high-pitched woman to very dark voice, and all the different tone of voice. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Lavinia says maybe a lot of the movies that are released are actually done after they get some stories from the clients. The truth is right in front of you. Yeah. I mean, I think about, The Matrix. It ain't a documentary. I mean, it isn't a fiction. It's a documentary.
Right. Yeah.
So much of Star Trek is like, what? So that's
the new TV shows, even the new TV show. I'm sorry to interrupt. The new TV show, like the Marvel, all these Loki and all these that are streaming. I research who's feeding all these stories. They speak about timelines in dimension and all that. I was like, who's feeding these stories? And I find out that there's Bashar, who's the one. What's his name?
Daryl Anka. Yeah.
Daryl Anka. He's the one who's feeding all these line stories because he's a writer and he's been, he works for them. So he's feeding all this information, which is great, because now the mass population is getting it, somehow.
Yeah. Violeta, did you have something to add?
No.
Okay. All right. So Laura says, yes, an experiment, but as a request from Source's children. Yes.
Great.
All right. Let's see. Violeta, this sounds very similar to the Hopi stories. One thing they state is we will be stripped of all synthetic materials on and in our bodies. That's so cool. That's way cool. Light and dark must have balance. When the darker gets darker, the lighter gets lighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Another movie, The Other Side or The Tribe of Europe. I've not seen either one of those. Okay, those are going on my list. And Laura says Star Wars, her all-time favorite, my all-time resident.
Yeah, or the amazing ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we reached over the hour. I mean, it went so quick, right? We really enjoying this wonderful conversation. So I love it.
What is so we had the question, like, how do we, I don't know, what was the question? It wasn't protect, but how do we guard against the dark ones? And Violeta, you kind of talked about that, the vibrations or whatnot. And so maybe piggybacking off of that, like, how do we better see them? How do we better communicate with them? What advice have you been given in your sessions about how to connect with their star friends and family?
Well, it's not a complicated recipe from what I got in my sessions. You got to be open, because not everyone is open to accept their origin from the stars. And as Martin said in the beginning, we're not just from one system, or Holy, maybe you said it. We're from everywhere. And once you accept that about yourself, I think it's easier. Just meditate and talk to them, connect inwardly, remember who you were, right? And tap into that and ask, and you'll get guidance and messages, and like the same way our clients get it in their sessions. You get to see, to experience, to know. And to me, I think it's not only very empowering to tap into that, to remember who you were, and you can get back your abilities in those realities or dimensions where you lived. You know, you're so much more than a human, and that heals the fear of dying, the fear of being so tiny, because we're not tiny, even though these universes are huge. So I think this is the way to communicate with them. Some people get physical messages, but I think dreams, meditations, sound healing sessions, get a QHHT session and tap into it and remember who you were. I'm sorry, not were, are, because every time, and we're all star people coming from different systems or traveling to different systems and experiencing them.
Martin, what advice do you have?
You know, that's what I have so far is like every time that, you know, in a session where, you know, people experience being in another alien, another being from another system, I always ask them, how can she or he communicate with you again? Sometimes they had, you know, like it just has to hum. One time was like he has to hum this vibration, and he start humming, you know, like he'll remember. Okay. The other one was like just to think about me from her heart, and that we can communicate. Another one had that
the sign.
That was so funny, you know, the sign, just do like this, because as she was, you know, laying back, it was just do like this. That was hilarious, you know. But most of it, and the other way, you know, another thing that I really want to address is like, I noticed that there's certain misunderstanding, really, because sometimes when people discover they belong or they are aware before coming to the session, that, oh, you know, I probably I'm from the Pleiades or Arcturus or Sirius, whatever. But when they find out what actually their home is source. That we're all coming from, with all of us, and that's the really home is. I mean, you know, we're very familiar with the last home planet, yes, but that doesn't mean, like we said before, it doesn't mean you were in another planet before and you graduated from there too. So, you know, when people felt that connection with source, when it speaks through them, that's when they really feel at home. Don't you think?
Well, and I think too, even going to just a home planet, a lot of my clients will get very emotional. You know, just feeling all the love and the lightness, the lack of density that we feel here, the lack of separation that we feel here. It can be really, really emotional in a session for that. Yeah. And I think that's also, if 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 you weren't here to volunteer to help Gaia move where she wants to move to dimensionally, you wouldn't be on this YouTube
Right.
tonight, right? And so by virtue of you even being interested in this topic and tuning into information like this, that alone says that you're a starseed, right? And I think that, back to Violeta, what you mentioned in terms of this guarding against people that maybe want to do different things than what Gaia wants to do. When you resonate with that love and light, when you connect with that home, when you connect with that emotionally, they don't want to be anywhere around you. You're stinky to them, right? They're like, I'm not hanging out over there. Those people are full of love and light, right? Yeah.
No, that was kind of like automatically they picked up
Yeah.
that signal or that frequency.
Uh-huh.
I think there's nothing to worry about. That's very common. When
Yeah.
every time they ask something about, dark forces or something like that, you don't have to worry about
Right.
being taken care of or you've been protected. You don't have to go into that reality if you don't want to, because we all have the free will. So, but they clearly stated, you always protected. There's nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. And you're always having the experience that your soul wants you to have.
Yes, and what protects us is our vibration, because we don't mix. We don't mix having this higher vibration. This is how they can take us apart. And talking about negative, I wanted to add this, that in all my sessions, when we see negative dark beings, at the end, the higher self will say, but in the grand picture, there's no evil. They to pose to play the bad guys or the villain, so we can choose the light.
Exactly. It's like a fish can't know water. How are you going to know light if you can't know dark?
Exactly.
Right? They're doing their job perfectly.
And some people not only came into, they were dark beings in past lives, and it's okay, because now they can tell people what darkness feels, what evil feels, and they know how to protect themselves from. So this is an inside experience. So then now it's brought out into the light. This is what dark is about, and then you have your free will to choose. You want to go in there or you want to stay away from it.
Yeah. Great. All right, we're gonna have to close it out. So just one last comment, because a lot of people have joined. I'm even seeing brand new names here at the very, very end. Click, what's it called? Opt in on your chat feature. There's a little green button. If you're on a desktop, it says opt in. Make sure you click that to opt in. And also, I'll encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit notify for my YouTube channel. When you click that opt in, I've hit the button twice tonight to tell YouTube to award 5 free gifted 1-month memberships to my YouTube channel. So the membership is lots of fun freebies and bennies and stuff, but mainly once a month we get together and we have, for members only, we have a live, a YouTube live to experience a Dolores Cannon group regression together. And so each month we have a different theme, we have a different script, but it's always a Dolores Cannon script. And so that's only for members. So if you click opt in before we hang up tonight, then the algorithm is gonna find you, and you could win one of those 10 1-month memberships. February 21st is the next group regression. And our theme, of course, in February is love. We're going to be exploring love with one of Dolores Cannon's group regressions. So before we get out, make sure you click that opt in. So Martin, where can people find you if they want a session, or they want to connect with you, or they want to talk more about star seeds or sound healing or singing in strange languages?
Well, people can find me in triple, www.quantumbalance.center. That's where my main website is. It's bilingual, Spanish and English, so both can find out. And then they also can find me through my Facebook or Instagram through QHHT Martin Rivera. That's how can they find me in either both. So thank you for that. So I'm located in New York, in Long Island, pretty much like an hour and a half ride or an hour ride. My office is very close to the Kennedy Airport. I have people coming from Ohio, from Kentucky, from California. So I'm very close to the airport. So it's very handy. It's only a half-hour ride from the airport.
Awesome. Way cool. And you do sound healing too, don't you?
Yes,
in
I do
addition to
sound
QHHT?
another
Yeah.
right, and another therapies like emotional release and all these courses and workshops too as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
the individual and groups too.
Way cool. Way cool.
Thank you.
Violeta, how can people connect with you?
My YouTube channel has my name, Violeta Stoica. Facebook has my name, Violeta Stoica. My email is qhht.ro from Romania @gmail.com, because I lived in Romania when I first started. Yeah, I don't know what else am I supposed
You're in Prescott, Arizona, which is what, about an hour from Phoenix?
And starting in April, I'm gonna come to California and do 1 week per month
cool
sessions. So I'm gonna be in 2 locations starting in April. Lavinia.
And what part of California?
It's gonna be San Diego.
Okay.
Diego.
So either Prescott, which is also really close to Sedona.
Exactly, the magical Sedona.
Yeah.
And I want to say hi to Julie and Lisa and Stephanie, my students from Sedona in November in the level 1 companion class. Thank you for joining.
Way cool. So they're practitioners. So we're teeing them up for all the craziness they're getting ready to experience if they haven't already.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they already have.
Okay, good.
They're in the club.
Welcome to the club.
Sink or swim, baby. Sink or swim. Yep. All right. Well, I'm Holly Duckworth, and I've got 2 books out. So find me on Amazon. We've got Finding Forgiveness, Surprising Healing from the Higher Self, and Finding Purpose.
In Spanish too.
In Spanish too. Surprising Wisdom from the Higher Self. And this beautiful painting is the cover. Actually, Blue Star Seed, who's on the call tonight, Meredith Rose, she painted both of those gorgeous book covers. And so I'm in Durango, Colorado, level 3 practitioner, and I do QHHT, and I also do a psychotherapy called Safe and Sound Protocol, which is kind of a trauma-informed polyvagal theory listening therapy, so kind of a sound therapy. And so if you have friends or family that need to recover from trauma and get ready for those motherships and the vibrations for the help, then now's the time. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. And again, like, subscribe, and hit that notification. The cool thing about hitting that notification is that you'll find out when I'm doing this every month, by the way, so in February, we'll have another live with other QHHT practitioners and other topics. And then that notification tells you when that's going to happen if you don't happen to see it on social media. And if you're a member, that notification sends you an email to say, heads up, because a coupon just rolled, or an announcement just rolled, or something just rolled, some benefit for you just got rolled out for you as a member. And the memberships are only $4.99 a month. Okay, so less than a Starbucks, and you can get all this cool stuff. So thank you, guys. The replay is going to be out immediately, and look forward to talking to you again next month. So thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thank you, Holly, for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.